Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I was asked if I was making a shaker card with this kit. I don't know if you've been looking at the Paper Pumpkin Fan Club. And the answer was yes, of course. So I wanted to show you how I've made mine. I don't know with the glare if you're seeing this right. I used some sequins that I had kicking around. They're from the woven threads, and put them on. I used the tree. I think I'm going to use him again. I think he's supposed to go with the camper, but I decided to use it here. The only thing I forgot to do is put the pine needles on it, so I'm going to try to do that on my next one. But before I start my card, I'm going to tell you what supplies you need, and then I'm actually going to finish this one because there's something that's bugging me with it. So I'm just going to set it aside for a minute and we'll go through the supplies you need. So you'll need sequins. These are a whole whack of stars that I have left over from the World's Greatest, which was August 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit. So I'm going to use these stars for the other one. I've got a piece here of just basic white. It measures 3.5 by 3/4 of an inch, and that's to do my label down here. I've got a clear medium envelope, and that is basically making a faux shaker card. So that is what we're going to put our sequins in, and then the tree card base. So I'm just kept this out so I'd remember the name actually, but we don't need that. So before I get started, like I said, there's something that's bugging me with this one, and I'll show you what it is. So, I mean, it works, it's fun, but when I open it, I don't like that I can see, I don't know if you can see that. I can see the tape, even though I've used the double-sided clear tape, I can still sort of see it, and it's bothering me. So I'm going to do something a little unorthodox here. I'm going to cut this off. And I'm going to end up gluing it, so it's no longer going to be a trifold card. It's just going to be a simple, regular card. But I'm just cutting just a smidge off as well as I go so that it'll fit nicely. And then I'm going to have to remove that so that the card doesn't look like it's missing something. So that should work. So if I fold it over, that still looks totally normal. Hooray. And we've got our inside piece. I may have to trim this a little bit or not. We'll see. Nope, we're good. So by putting this on, it just ends up looking like a regular card on the inside. So you could decorate this if you wanted to. But you've still got that effect on the front of it being kind of got dimension. So I much prefer this, and that's what I'm going to do for my other one. I'll fix this later, but I'm going to start my next one that way. So I'm just going to set this aside as my example. So the first thing we need to do with this one, if you choose to do the tree, is to gently remove your inside piece, the negative. And the reason I'm saying to remove it gently is you can totally make other cards with this, which I'll show you an example of one that I made. I hate throwing bits away, so I've kept the negatives from the little camper and the lantern as well. I haven't found anything to do with those yet, but this one still has this tree shape, right? So I combined it with the Campology stamp set, which is super fun if you like camping. That is really a great one for you. So I've stamped the trees from the Campology stamp set here, and I've used the negative piece as my background. And then I used the rectangular punch to punch out the tent. So yeah, just something a little bit different. So hang on to this guy. You can use him on another card. So this is garden green cardstock that I used as my background. And just put that away. So keeping that aside, but we don't need it for this card. While we've got the my goodness. It's been a really, really big day. I went kayaking this afternoon and ended up being out for a whole hour. No, 2 hours we were out, and oh my gosh, the wind got so high. It was a really hard paddle back. So I'm feeling tired. Okay, so I've cut my third panel off, and I'm just going to fix that so that we don't have a funny looking edge. Don't want anyone to think we've given them a broken card. Okay, so that is that. I'm just gonna make sure that does fit and then we don't have to trim anything else. And that's good. So the other thing we need to trim is that medium envelope, because it's too big to fit in here, right? Because you're supposed to be able to put a card in here. So, and our borders are very thin here. So that is something to consider. You need your envelope to be wider than, I would say 4 1/8 is the perfect width, because then you'll be able to hide it. But you've really got like just less than 1/4 inch on both sides of your bits here. So it's a little bit tricky, and that is why I'm putting this on the back. So, and the other thing is I don't want my sequins hiding down here. I want them to really be focused in the open area. So measuring that, I'm going to do 4 1/4. So I'm doing a square, 4 1/4 by 4 1/8. So I'm going to start by cutting my 4 1/4. And this works fine with the paper cutter, by the way. And then the other one I said was 4 1/8. So again, I'm just measuring it along the top here with the ruler. And there we go. So this is a little bit finicky, but it's going to look so cool that it's all worth it. All right, so that is it with our cutting. So now we've got 2 open sides on our envelope, which we need to do something about, right? Because otherwise your sequins will fall out. So I'm using tear tape, which is just double-sided tape. The challenge with it is it's like 1/4 inch wide, and we've got less than 1/4 inch, which is why on my sample card, I've got sequins right on the edge here because I can see my tape and it's bothering me. So that's something I want to avoid this time around. So I'm going to put my tape, but I'm going to trim it so that it's not quite so wide. So I am just putting that in the corner. And I'm actually going to do it on this side so that I can control better. There we go. Like I said, this is a little bit finicky. I could cut my tape, probably. It might be easier. There we go. And so I could trim this end, but I think I'm actually going to use it to glue. Yeah, I'm going to use it, fold it over, to glue this down. So there is a method to the madness. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And it's okay that the tape overlaps with itself. All right, I'm going to do it tape side down. So this stuff's really sticky, which is why I want to use it, but it also makes it a little bit challenging. So there's probably totally a better way of doing this. If you have a better way, please use it, because this is finicky again, but it's going to look really cool, so it's totally worth doing. Oh my gosh, I am totally fighting with this tape. Okay, I'm going to cut this, and it's just going to make life a little bit easier. Totally fast forward through this part if you find it a little tedious. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the reason I'm fussing so much with this again is because I don't want a whole 1/4 inch on my border, because I want it to be hidden. That's the whole reason for this. Okay, so we have tape. It's sticky on this side, so I'm going to be careful not to glue it down to my paper here. So I'm going to put some stars in here. So I'm making my shaker card envelope, basically. I think they call this a faux shaker card because we're really using the inside of the, and actually before I do that, you know what, I'm going to be super smart, and we're going to stick one side down so that I don't have to worry about my sequins. Okay, so this side of the envelope is now closed, and I'm folding over that excess tape that I had so that the back is now going to be sticky. Okay, so now I have more of a pocket, and now I'm going to add my stars. So you don't need a ton, which is why I have a lot of these left. So that's probably enough. And then I'm going to remove the sticky from here. Oh, like I said, finicky. And I'm totally open to suggestions if you have a better way to do this. All right, so the key is to make sure that your envelope is sealed so that you don't have any, so that your sequins don't fall out. All right, I have almost successfully done this. So, woohoo! Okay, it's not 100% elegant, and again, that's why I'm going to be putting that that other piece on the back to hide all the imperfections. So, which way does this go? I think it goes this way. So you want to make sure that it's fairly centered, because there's not a lot of, and you know what I just thought of? There's nothing holding. Okay. So there's nothing holding this because I didn't think of that. So I'm just going to use a little bit of tear tape to do that. But I'm going to be careful where I put the tape so that it's not sticking out. And because this is sealed, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's not going to fall out. So one thing to keep in mind when you're working with any kinds of plastics is that they don't stick to wet glue. So you want to use tape ideally. The tear tape is good. There's also the snail tape, works well as well. I really like double-sided tape for these kind of projects though. There we go. So that is now in place. Let's see what it looks like on the front. We have a shaker card. So we want that really pretty background though, right? So we're going to put that on. And I just want to see, you know what? I'm going to take just a hair off of the bottom so that it does not stick out, because otherwise it's the exact same size as the card. So I'm actually taking like a 1/16 of an inch. No, I'm not. I'm taking an 1/8 of an inch. There we go. So just a teeny tiny piece. When I started off with this crafting stuff, it's like, what? There's so much math. It's killing me. There we go. So that is just going to look fine. Okay, so now what we want to do is I'm going to use the double-sided tape because I think it's just going to be easier. But I'm working with a 1/8 margin here. So I'm going to make sure that my tape is not, first of all, going to show through the circle, but also not going to show through the sides, which is going to be a bit tricky on this seam. So there we go. So I'm not going to bring it all the way. And I'm going to put some up here. Oops, that's not nearly long enough. All right, I'm going to sacrifice that piece of tape. We need a little bit more. Stuck to my fingers. Okay. So I think this will do nicely. There we go. And then we need to do the bottom. The bottom is actually super easy. That's the easy part. There we go. And this side's going to be a little bit tricky as well. I've actually got a fair distance where it won't show, but not that big. Okay. This is why they call it tear tape. It's really easy to tear as well. And there we go. So now I will remove the other side of my tape. If you don't have long nails, using the edge of a scissor, I think works really well for this. I've tried to do it, and I'm just so used to having long nails that I'm quite useless at it. What can I say? We all have our strong points. This is edging just a little bit too much to the top, so I'm just going to fold this over. There we go. So I don't want to end up sealing the card shut once we've got that back piece on. All right. Oh, this is going to look so cool. So again, you could totally decorate this if you wish. Just maybe test it to make sure that your stamp's not going to sew through, because you don't want to wreck this gorgeous image. All right, here goes. So I'm leaving just 1/8 of an inch on each side. Actually, this is 1/16. And I'm going to fold this, which I could have done beforehand, but didn't. Just going to make that really nice and crisp. Totally should have done this before. So when you're doing this at home, fold the card first. Oh, I just lost my light. Goodness me. All right, we have a shaker card though. Let me see. Hopefully this light can stand in. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so we've got my stars in here, which are able to shake around. Oh dear. You know what? I've got another light. Just give me one moment. I'm sorry about that. I just need to grab my computer and switch it over. All right. Almost connected again. Are we? We are not. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't want to just leave you off without finishing this. So I've got my stars. They're moving around. We have a shaker card. So they'll move a bit more when you... So I don't want to shake this camera too much. It's messy. So I just want to add, you could, sorry, you don't have to add. You can just finish the card like so. If you don't want to use another tree like I did here, or you could add it. I like the look of it with that tree, so I am going to use it. So I'm just going to go into my box of tricks here and grab one. All right. So as I said, this time I'm going to put the needles on this tree. I think it's going to look really pretty. So that's him. So I need my stamp and some ink. Sorry, I find it hard to talk and line up at the same time. And there we go. And I know it's not Christmas, but if you wanted to add a Christmas vibe to this, you could put a star on the top of the tree. How cute would that be? But I will refrain from doing so. I do want to do a Christmas alternate with this kit as well. I just haven't quite got there yet. So this is going to get stuck down on a dimensional, and I'm going to pop it up. So it's just to add that much more dimension. And also to hold this down a little bit because it's popped up with the with our fun little shaker bit at the back. So before I do that though, let's do the label and get that sorted as well. So it's going to be, you want to use one of the longer sentiments, whether it be from your paper pumpkin kit or another. The world awaits you. Let the adventure begin. Dream big, aim high. I love that so much, but that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to try to center it on my block though. So I'm just using the color, the garden green, which is the one that came with the kit. I just like to use my ink pads. It's just a preference thing. All right. And then I want to do those cute needles on our, oh no, I already did those. Yeah, okay. There we go. So we'll just set that aside. Now, I'm going to put the tree on, and then I'll figure out exactly for the label. Set that aside here. All right. So you don't need a ton of these, just kind of enough to I don't want them to show. I'll add one more. Okay, so there we go. So I didn't want to put it right in the center, so it's off center. Now we've got our label. So I'm going to put it on dimensionals as well, just so that it kind of sits on top of that tree. And just trying to figure out, oh, I'm going to need, okay. Just trying to figure out where to put those dimensionals so that they're not interfering with the tree. So definitely on either side. I just don't want it to fall flat So I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna kind of put it closer to the bottom. There we go. I always try to think when I'm putting the dimensionals of how will this do in the post to see how many I need. So, and then I'm just kind of trying to center it. There we go. So that is our shaker card. And I'm not going to shake it because it's going to be gross, but they are floating around in here, my little stars. So you can use any sequins that you have kicking around. And this is the other one that I have that I've just got to finish off. So I don't see any of my tape here like I did on this one. So that's nice. You can totally add any kind of bling you want to the card as well. Yeah, I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And thanks for watching.